My face currently feels like I've been run through by Tom Stewart.
Puts it to the top of the square. Oh, beautiful little fist in there by Dale. Crucial centimetre moments.
He definitely has a bit of the Belcho spirit. As I have a bit of the Belcho spirit.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Back Pocket Podcast, coming to you now before our curfew kicks in at 10 PM this evening. You may have wondered where we were last week, but we were taking a week off in righteous protest against Noah Bolter playing against the Gold Coast. And not at all because Alistair only just got back from Melbourne and we were both wiped.
I was sick as hell.
So anyway, my name is Jack and I'm joined as always by Alistair.
And I figure because we missed a week, let's do 2 intros.
Oh, all right, go for it.
Welcome to the Back Pocket, the only podcast where we do our votes the exact same way the AFL umpires adjudicate the 15-metre rule. Vibes. We just guess.
Just vibes.
We're making it up.
There was a couple on the weekend that went I saw one that went like 28 metres and I was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's a joke. Someone, I don't know where, said that the AFL are instructing them to make it 20 metres, but
to
like...
play move faster.
Change the rule there.
I really like Doom being like, to make it easier on the umpires, they should make it 20 metres. It's like, how are they... They still can't tell how far it is.
It doesn't make it easier. I mean, it would make
It's
it
equally
easier
difficult.
like the fans would understand
Yeah.
why 15 metres isn't being given, but...
But if they can't tell it's 15, they're not going to be able to tell it's 20. Anyway, we had 2 weekends of football. Gather Round was bad.
Yeah, well, no, didn't you read Gather Round had the highest scores ever, so it was good?
Yes, but it was all of them were like 150 to 83.
Well, not all of them.
Not
The
all of them.
Geelong Adelaide game
Yeah.
and Brisbane Bulldogs.
And then this weekend was Upsets Deluxe, which it may not have been great football, but it was weird and exciting to watch.
I would like to say the one week that I finally give up on Melbourne. I've tipped them the last 3 weeks. I gave up on them and they finally pulled a win
did.
out.
Against the team that, like, when they were better than Freo, they couldn't beat Freo if their life depended on it. And then this year, well, I mean, Freo's wins are now against West Coast and the Bulldogs only.
They have 3 wins, don't they?
West Coast Bulldogs and, I don't know.
How can you not remember they beat Richmond?
Oh, yeah, of course. Exciting wins. That's right, they absolutely did. In Gather Round. Anyway, so I wrote that Gold Coast losing to Richmond makes their run to the bye from here even more interesting. Previously, last week, my notes were to write, after the Richmond game, lots of hard games before the bye. Now they've lost to Richmond. That's a really crucial stretch.
They
If they
needed
lose
to win that.
3 or 4 of those, their season's in trouble.
It makes it easier for us to get to that potato of parity where every team has
We just
been in a
needed West
circle.
Coast to beat Essendon.
But we need West Coast to win, which doesn't look likely.
They were a few minutes away. That was the one.
That was a
Because
good
if
chance.
they'd beaten Essendon, and obviously Port had beaten Hawthorn, and Essendon had beaten Port, we were there.
We're there. I think they've got Melbourne in a few weeks who, unless they have flipped the switch and are better now.
I think they've got North and Richmond coming soon as well. So there's like a few games in there that they can win.
You'd hope North respond after what happened to them on the weekend, but who knows?
North, much like Jesus, get murdered every Good Friday.
Well, means they'll be back next week to beat
And then I looked at
Port at Adelaide Oval.
Melbourne after my article in last week's Weekend Football newsletter with their KPIs. And then this week after that, they were 5th for inside 50s, 4th for contested possessions, 4th for clearances, 9th for scores per inside 50, and 3rd for marks inside 50. All of the things that they need to hit. They were top half in the comp for all of them and top 6 for most. So
Yeah, it turns out all you need to do was empty the inside 50 and make sure Kasiah Pickett was paying on a second-year player.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Pickett was playing. Pickett and Petrarca were chaotically rotating between the midfield and full forward somehow. But it definitely worked. Their midfield dominated that game. That was the main difference. Gorn was on fire. Darcy's not ready.
No,
he
I don't
barely
think
looked
so.
at last week. He was worse this week. Take out his hit-outs and his goal. I think he had 4 disposals. He's not here. And Freo are once again teetering.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. It's
It's a
Is
hard
it rough
one.
to say it's Longmuir?
It feels like it because it is a very, very talented list, but it's also the youngest list in the comp.
Yeah,
so it's
it is young.
It's a weird, but it's not like they're not like Richmond or West Coast where they've got a lot of really young players with a few really old players.
This is a group of 23-years-olds that have played together
It's a really
for
prime
quite
group.
some time.
Absolutely.
23
and they should all be hitting their straps together. And we saw last year when their best is on show, they're fantastic, but it's just not been there at all this year. So
I know they've got Adelaide at Optus this week, which is a big test.
I think I'm tipping them, just based on it being in Perth, and they beat the Bulldogs here a few weeks ago.
They've got enough tools to deal with the Adelaide forward line, and Fogarty shouldn't be playing.
Yeah.
So, that's an interesting one. I think that's spoilers. It might be the game of the round, right?
Maybe. All right, so we're going to tear through the votes this week. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for 2 rounds. No reasons for 1 through 4.
Yeah, no reasons.
Just belt them out. So last week first.
You can figure them out, listener.
Yeah.
Go do your own
research.
research.
Look at those games. If you don't like the stats, watch the games. So who was your one last week?
My one last week, Darcy Moore.
Darcy Moore?
My 1 week sentence. My one sentence for him would be Darcy Moore's good again.
Yeah. Mine was Jack Payne. His second half was phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought Jack Payne was good too.
Who was your two?
Archie Roberts, who I think won the Rising Star last week.
I think he did get the Rising Star on last week.
So there you go. Rising
and I can
Star.
now pick him easily on Footy Heads. My two was Nasiah Wanganeen-Miller.
Yep.
Just insane metres gained, ridiculous rebound, was very good. Who was your three?
My three was Mitch McGovern.
Mitch McGovern. Mine was, we're going to complete opposites for last week.
It's good. My one sentence would be, looks to be back in form, brackets, playing against shit teams.
Mine was Connor Rosie. Wow, he plays half-back good. That's crazy. Hell yeah.
My 4 votes is to Lockie Ash from the GWS Giants, who is in an insane tear of form the last
he
3
really
weeks.
is. Take out that one game he had, like round 2 or 3. His season's been incredible.
Yeah, he's been really good.
My 4 was to Mark Keane, who was basically the only Adelaide defender defending against Geelong. I think he had something ridiculous, like 15 intercepts.
Yeah.
Crazy. Who was your 5?
My 5 was Connor Rosie.
Mine was Jasper Fletcher.
Okay.
I thought he turned the game on the head for Brisbane that game, but I totally understand Connor Rosie. He was...
Yeah, so Connor Rosie, 23 rating points. He had 28 disposals, 20 of which were kicks, 546 metres gained, 8 intercept possessions, with 4 of them being intercept marks, 5 score involvements and 5 rebound 50s. Him moving to halfback completely transformed their team because it allows them to have Horn Francis doing mid-forward, Butters doing pure mid, and Rosie doing halfback.
And you've got Drew doing the defensive as well.
It's completely shifted that mix-up, and it's gone a long way to the reason they won last week and this week.
Like, it was genuinely their biggest problem. Was
obviously
how
losing
to,
Houston.
Utilise those, and then Rosie covers Houston, their biggest loss, and it stops the cramp in the midfield.
Yep.
Fletcher had 25 disposals. 9 of those were intercepts. I think 7 of those intercepts were in the second half when they stormed back into that game. He had 6 marks, 17 defensive half pressure acts, and 2 second half score launches. I just thought he was really good. I think he's going a bit unsung with so much of the young talent
Yeah, definitely.
at Brisbane. And he really does look like an estranged Ashcroft brother with the mane of hair and the splotchy cheeks.
An adopted Ashcroft.
Yeah. Got adopted out instead, though. All right, this week.
Round 6.
It's
doing 20 votes total? Like 20 individual...
I guess so, yeah.
That's crazy.
I guess I'll start with my one
You
this
start with
time.
your one vote.
My one for this week was Sam Taylor.
Sam Taylor, not in my votes.
My sentence for Sam Taylor is, he's good. He's really good.
Yeah. My one vote is to Callum Wilkie, and considering they lost by how much they lost by, rough to put him in the votes, but he was the only person who cared.
As Zaid said, he is the only person on that team that tries.
They would have lost by 150 if he wasn't playing.
Horrible.
Yep.
Combining factors, Darcy going down, Wilkie playing, saved them a 100-point loss.
Yep.
My 2 was to Jeremy McGovern, who I thought was really good.
Similar vibes.
And they almost won.
My 2 votes is to Connor Rosie. That's 2 weeks in a row votes for
really
him. All I will say is 825 metres gained, unheard of from him.
Keep him there.
Yep, have to.
It's his new role. My 3 was to Sam de Koning, who
I thought you might.
Was absolutely sick.
He was, but he also, for me, there's so many moments where he just wasn't watching his opponent or was completely turned around.
He had one real bad one, but there was a few moments in the last quarter where he was coming up to leaving his man, coming up to the wing and spoiling the ball back inside 50. awesome. Keep him behind the ball. I don't want to see him rucking ever again.
I want to see him rucking this week.
Play his brother back into form. Who was your 3?
My 3 was your favourite player, Mitchell Hinge. Mitchell Hinge. No losses, 540 metres gained.
I love that we found 2
Really
votes, 2 players from that game to give votes to. That was an atrocious game of football.
Mm-hmm.
The pub changed the channel to the rugby midway through that game.
Oh, maybe you scored more.
My 4 votes was to Jake Bowie.
Oh, my 4 votes is to Jake Bowie.
Hell yeah.
We agreed on 1.
He was great. His bounce and run was phenomenal.
Well, we're going to agree on 5 as well, so might as well just...
5 was Nick Flostone.
Nick Flostone.
What an incredible game. I feel like after how good Flostone played, they should take a week off of Voss's sentence. Because it clearly had no impact on him.
27 disposals, 24 of them being kicks, 15 intercept possessions, 13 marks, 7 intercept marks, no losses from 2 contests, 11 rebound 50s. Insane game. I'm sure you've got more.
Yeah, no, he it was just from the start. Like, he was dominant all day. When we agreed we weren't doing too much stuff, I didn't write much down for him, but it was such an obvious, we talked about it before we did the votes. It was like, unless something insane happened in the Geelong Hawthorn game, it's clearly 5 to Flostone.
Yeah.
He just is really good. He's been so important to that team for so long. It's a shame he missed out on an All-Australian when they were killing it, because I feel like that's the only time a player like Flostone gets it, is when the team's dominant. But he's just, he's such an important part of keeping them stable.
If he plays like that for the rest of the year, he'll be fine.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're right. But like we said pre-season, that their backline was their strongest asset. And I think in the games that they've won, we've really seen that. Like the way Broad and Flostone stopped Carlton from scoring in that second half when they won the first game, and the way they were just controlled the game with Bolter this game, I genuinely think that they've been the difference. Yeah. Yeah,
no, he's I was checking his achievements on Wikipedia to see if he did have an All-Australian or not. No. I'll take 3 premierships over an All-Australian any day.
Absolutely. I hear someone earlier today say they've got as many premierships as Scott Pendlebury's played at footy grounds. I was like,
that's funny. That's a good joke.
Stocks up, stocks down.
It's been a while since we've done stocks up, stocks down.
Yeah, I kind of got a combo one for this week and last week.
All right, well, you go first then.
Stocks up, Jasper Fletcher.
Yeah, thought so.
He was in there before I even had him as my votes. He's stepped into that role. He's almost like he's going to be the successor to Zorko's half-back role for them, which is something that they needed
Just
to cover.
Less
You'd hope
shithousery.
that Coleman comes in eventually. I think he's only a few weeks away now. They've updated him to within a month. So, who's your stocks up?
Stocks up, I'm just going to say the Bulldogs. I know they lost to Brisbane in Gather Round, but they look kind of scary.
I'm stocks up Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Fraser
Bond
having
back
like
in.
a 26 player rating.
Fraser going insane in his second season.
Incredible. Riley Sanders has just arrived.
Yeah. They have the luxury of being able to rotate mids. Downside is Darcy's going to be out for a little bit.
Really means, who do they put up forward as that other tall, especially the no Waitman?
But they also have the luxury of their midfield humming so hard that they could just put Bond there.
Yeah.
Or Kennedy even.
So Kennedy, and that's exactly what they recruited Kennedy for, right?
Yeah.
That was the purpose of that spot. So
the utility.
And whichever one of Karmas or Lob, one per, really you can do one per quarter, changing
Don't put
who's
Lob
in that
up
spot
forward.
there.
Don't do it.
No, I mean we saw that kick on goal on the weekend and it went.
Unless he gets a target painted on his head, I'm not trusting him in front of goal. If he gets a little target on the back of his head, you can put him up forward.
Oh, God. He has to do it against Max Gawn, right? He's got the... Max Gawn does the target behind the goals. Stocks down.
Oh, being a ruckman at Essendon?
Oh, being tall at Essendon?
Yeah, being tall at
3
Essendon.
2
Unless
metre
you're Peter
plus
Wright.
guys. Yeah, well, he's just come back. I mean, touch wood,
Touch
Peter Wright. Yeah, 3 2 metre plus guys in the space of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Season's over.
I don't think Edwards was 2 metres tall.
203.
Was he?
Yeah.
That's great. He didn't look it.
No.
But yes, it's going to be a really rough invite back to the AFL for Todd Goldstein. I hope his body can hold
Scott reckons he's locking him in.
up. Oh, yeah. He has to. He's got no other option.
No, I know.
Peter Wright can't play a full game of ruck.
Can't put Reed in the ruck.
Vigo Vizantini's not ready for AFL.
And they can't bring Laverde in because he headbutted a bloke on the weekend. He's got 3 weeks. My stocks down was Clarko and North in general.
Yeah, I didn't want to give it to them, but
Melbourne was such a
I've never had stocks in them.
Yeah, it's true. it was such a false dawn, that Melbourne game. Everything we've seen since has just been the same as last year.
They scored pretty heavily in the first 3 rounds of the year, which I think tricked everyone. They were still giving up big scores. They were still...
But it looked like they had avenues to goal.
They just got smacked in the midfield this week. I mean, there's not much you can say about
Sheasel doesn't look the same player playing that mid-forward role as he did on half-back.
No.
O'Sullivan can't touch the football. Darling's looking more like the Darling we expected him to look like. I think it's Parker and Daniel just aren't system yet. Like, I think that's part of the problem.
I don't know about Caleb Daniel at all. I mean, he's great for my fantasy.
There's just a lot going wrong, I think, at North. Which is unfortunate because you don't want teams to just be bad forever, and it feels like they're in a spiral. It looks like they're in a spiral. At least they signed LDU for 50 years. I mean, they've got talent on the list. That's really the problem, right? You look at, obviously they've got real weak spots in some areas, but they've got enough talent that they should look better than they do.
I feel like they've picked too many 180 to 185 midfielders.
I really hope that and he's a project player, I can't remember his name, the guy they ended up picking at the end of round 1 last year, but he would want to be
the ruck?
Fantastic. Because
Matt Whitlock?
Yeah, Whitlock.
Or the other Whitlock, one of them.
Yeah, he would want to be fantastic for them to have traded out what's looking like a top 4 pick now to a Richmond team that's already looking like they're on a better trajectory than North.
Richmond did have pick 1 and 2 recently, didn't they? No, can't have. Cause
they ended up with 1 and 3.
West Coast have their first round pick, don't they?
Yeah. But
okay, good.
Richmond ended up with 1 and 3 last year, and took obviously Lawler and Trainer.
I've got the draft order here.
And then next year they'll have their 1, North's 1, and they traded out their second round. So they've only got 2 picks currently for next year.
Richmond round 1 pick.
They've only got their own in North. That's it for this year.
West Coast have theirs.
Yeah.
To be fair, I mean, you wouldn't need much more than that.
After the draft haul they pulled out last year, and then you just add another 2 really top 5 picks.
And especially because they're finding players in good spots. They need a Lynch replacement, and I'd argue that they should poach that instead of draft that. And they need maybe better wings, someone to replace McIntosh and someone to replace Ralph Smith, because I don't rate him. But like those are ones that you can pick up and slot them right in. They don't need to pick up a small forward.
Do stocks up again. Seth Campbell again.
Yeah, I was about to mention him.
Is just awesome.
Yeah, he's well. I mean, to be lame, he's kicking goals.
Yeah, he's doing that. All right, what's your game of the week?
I think I'm going to be boring and say the one I already said.
Freo Adelaide?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the ones I bolded as like at least interesting games are Melbourne and Richmond, Freo and Adelaide, Gold Coast and Sydney, Carlton and Geelong, but I went with GWS Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Just because like there's a genuine rivalry there now. It's in Canberra. The Bulldogs would want to prove that last week wasn't a fluke.
And GWS
need a bounce back. So
they'll have Hogan again this week, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a lot on that game. Lob and Hogan.
Big for Norton to come up against Buckley and Sam Taylor.
Yeah, he really started pulling it together like as that game went on, I think, with his goal kicking. If he had kicked straight, he would have probably kicked 5. I think he ended up with 3-2 and 1 out in the full.
Man, imagine if they didn't hit the post 5 times.
Oh, it would have been much worse.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw the X score. It was like the closest it's been all year. It was like Bulldogs only scored 2 points less than their expected score, and St Kilda scored exactly their expected score.
Carlton Geelong has interesting bylines, not just because it's our teams, but you want to see if Carlton's any scruff against a team that's not a cellar dweller. And their defence has been holding up, so will that continue? And will their smalls be able to impact against a good team? Gold Coast Sydney, I would say, would be more interesting if Gold Coast didn't lose last week.
Yeah.
But it is on the Gold Coast, so I mean, I'm going to tip Gold Coast, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Sydney are in weird space.
Sydney are in a weird, yeah. They're playing very strange football.
The footy shows I told everyone not to watch pretty much pointed out that their kicking efficiency, which was their strength last year, is gone.
They should have won the game. They had 8 shots in the last 10 minutes and kicked 5 goals, 2, and 1 out in the full.
McDonald and McLean are just the most
unclutched players I've ever seen, and Lloyd moving up to the wing and just butchering the ball inside 50 gives me Blake Acres vibes. So
Campbell also just shanks them inside. A guy who was picked for his kicking just
I think he was
cannot
picked for
find
his
a target
speed,
inside
but
50. Speaking of unclutched players, I think that's the worst game I've ever seen James Sicily play.
yes,
Like
and
every
he
time
has been clutch in the past.
he touched it, it basically went to a Geelong player. The shot, he didn't just miss. Like it was 5 metres out in the full.
I feel like Hinkley has done something to him.
Broken him.
Yeah.
Like he's already been down on form this year. Weddle was fantastic on the flip side of that, but I think since his first couple of years, when a young angry defender is always going to play weird games, since then it's probably his worst game.
Yeah, he's been one of the more consistent players over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
But he was definitely off. There was something not right. Balls were just slipping through his fingers.
It wasn't like last year on Easter Monday when they put Ollie Henry on him to try and take him out of the game. They let him play his normal game.
Yeah.
And neither forward or back could he impact the game properly. So it was very, very odd. And I think, especially with Will Day gone, Sicily's such an X-factor player that you can't not have him playing well and keep winning games. I mean, obviously they were in it for all of the games, so it's not like they were way off the pace, but a few moments from him and they win it.
It's nice being able to throw him up forward and still have Battle and Barras take those clutch marks.
And the way they can just swap him and Hardwick, so Hardwick can play forward and then just immediately one's at centre-half back, one's at centre-half forward.
I really enjoyed Hardwick's marking around the ground as well. For someone who's not super tall, I thought he was really solid.
He's a very good footballer.
But I think their sub was the most sensible one of the week for me.
Yeah.
Getting Bruce off, moving Sicily straight forward, and then Jack just takes his place in the back line.
As a Geelong fan, I was concerned immediately because Bruce was their biggest weakness, and they brought on pace in the back line where they needed it, and it worked.
And Matt Hill immediately was weirdly
racial.
racial.
He was like, and now
Chol and Giatha both on the
there.
ground.
It's like, well,
what have they got in common?
so are Sicily and Watson. But that's,
what they have in common is they're fucking little shits.
they're absolute wankers. I saw that Geelong was giving out headbands before the game, and Hawthorn were giving out Wizards hats, which made for the weirdest crowd group.
That's very funny. And
someone said Rafael Nadal and Gandalf, and I was like, with the blonde mullets, Andre Agassi and Gandalf. And then I was like, I'm old.
Yeah, you are.
Rafael Nadal's a much more modern reference, but weird stuff.
Yeah, we're talking about players being old and they're not even 30 yet.
Yeah, Alex Pearce, he's getting on, he's 28.
Yeah, okay, yeah, carry on.
I haven't done the Friday footy quiz this week.
I don't do the Friday
because it was
footy
Good
quiz.
Friday, and I was...
Oh, there's going to be Jesus questions. Let's go. That's my special interest.
Well, I do like that we had Demons won, Saints lost,
Pope died. There's going to be Pope questions this coming Friday, surely.
And then, I loved credit to Dubois and Lambrese's during the Pope being dead period. How many games have been played?
As soon as I saw the list,
St Kilda
I got to send this to Jack.
St Kilda just up there. That's a crazy number. So maybe we got to back the Saints this week. My Marvel stats are dead.
Good.
Because my Marvel stat of the week was Gold Coast have won their last 5 away games. Richmond haven't won at Marvel for 11 games. Not even remotely safe. Who was, going into the weekend, the only remaining undefeated team in 2025?
Gold Coast.
It was Gold Coast.
That's one for me. I'm not going to do well this week, I can tell.
Which state flagged its intention to bid for Gather Round as of 2028?
Oh, I do know this. Tasmania.
It was Tasmania.
They got 2 stadiums.
Yeah. No, I think they should play at Queenstown, the gravel oval.
Whoever's North playing can play there.
Oh, at least it'll keep the...
Actually, North will probably have to play the big stadium because they're...
Oh, yeah, sponsorship.
They're one of the few teams that would have a supporter base there.
Name... Oh, well, this was a last week question. Name the 2 players who were on top of the Coleman medal race.
Oh, I don't fucking know.
Feels rough.
King and... Seth Campbell.
It was King and Tracy.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true. I knew that because my nephew was going on about how good Tracy
is. And then he didn't kick a goal, I think, on the weekend.
Yeah, Ben King didn't kick a goal.
You should know this one. In Gather Round, which side clocked up the fewest ever contested possessions?
West Coast. Asterisk. There is one game with lower contested possessions from 2004.
Yeah. It was very bad.
Yeah.
And then crazy. Harley Reid goes in the middle.
Harley
Tim
Reid,
Kelly
Tim
plays.
Kelly back.
They look infinitely better.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
It was an improvement, wasn't it?
Um,
Elijah Hewitt as well.
And then, Hewitt, almost like a coming of age game.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe Reid wasn't in that last centre bounce. And like I steadied on McQualter.
You have gone on and on about this a little
I
bit.
steadied on McQualter as the days went on. Like, but the senior players should have gone. Like, we need a burst here. It's 28 seconds to go. Reid had to be in there. Like it should have been Reid, Kelly, Hewitt, really, to try and get the ball forward as fast as possible.
Yeah.
What is the difference between a restricted and an unrestricted free agent? It's like a airball.
This is easy. Restricted free agent has the club has the ability to match the offer made to them to make them stay at the club.
It's almost word for word how it is worded. Who has more career goals, Stuart Lowe or Fraser Gehrig?
Well, I don't know who Stuart Lowe is, so I'm going to pick Stuart Lowe.
It's Stuart Lowe.
What club does Stuart Lowe play for?
There's a new. I think that's a reference to. There's a new footy quiz that you can do, and it's just like two guys.
Oh yeah.
Pick who has the most career goals.
How do you spell Lowe?
Loewe. Lowe.
St Kilda Football Club.
Oh, so
Nickname
both
was
Saints.
Buckets. 594 goals.
Didn't help that the G Train played as a fullback for like 3 or 4 years.
Got an EJ Whitten medal.
Who is the only player to win a Brownlow medal at Port Adelaide?
Ollie Wines.
That's all he wants. Which of the 2002 and 2003 grand finals between Brisbane and Collingwood was closer?
2.
It was 2. That was the Buckley Voss.
That was just a complete guess.
Voss year where Voss just went mad in the last quarter.
I know who won.
Not me. What is often cited as the reason for Geelong's 11-match winning streak from
the
2008
Kennett curse.
onwards? Correct. Which of these 300 gamers has never been All-Australian? Jack Darling, Callan Ward, or Steele Sidebottom?
If Jack Darling has never been All-Australian, that's a crime. I'm going to say Callan Ward.
It's Callan Ward.
Okay.
I had a weird feeling Steele Sidebottom hadn't been, so that's interesting. But yeah, it had to be Callan Ward. Not due to lack of talent, but just due to like Jack Darling had some insane years.
And Callan Ward's like a utility
Steele Sidebottom's played
defender,
for
forward.
a million years in multiple teams that have made it to preliminary finals. Friday footy quiz.
Did you do the one the week before?
I did. Do you want to? Because the questions are usually week relevant, I think.
Do you want to do 20 minutes of quiz content? Nah, it's all good.
No, that's probably too much.
Probably too much.
Bailey Smith got fined for flipping the crowd off again.
Stop doing it.
Stop flipping the crowd off.
He's gonna come for green
it
and
was-
butters
it was-
just through flipping crowds off.
It was another $3,000. It was a second offence.
How many times do you get fined before you get suspended?
I
3?
think because it's not a contact with another player fine.
Well, he got fined this week for
He got fined
a
for-
ball contact
yeah, which-
to Amon's head.
Yeah.
You can't just be doing that. I see the smug smile on your face, but he should have got fined for it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Charlie Cameron didn't get fined for doing it in 2020, but that's okay.
How do you have that locked and loaded, ready to go?
Because I saw a video of it today.
Okay.
It's
Well,
happened
he
before.
should have.
It happened before. Look, he should have been fined. But it wasn't suspendable, as Gerard Healy was trying to suggest. It was shithousery and it was a free kick.
Lots of smug smilery going on from you for a
thought it
player
was
who has
funny.
a kicking percentage efficiency of 30%.
I thought it was funny. And he was probably close to best on ground again.
I don't think so. Not even close.
He was well up in the coaches' votes. Manor got 10 somehow.
Yeah.
which baffled me.
I thought Manor was dog shit.
And the
so
Brownlow predictors had Smith getting 1 or 2.
I just did not see it that
Um,
way, especially when he can't fucking kick
He
to
runs
save
and
his
runs
life.
and runs.
What did the player ratings for that game have? Oh, you can't do it on the app.
It's a nightmare, right?
What the fuck? Get your shit sorted, AFL.
I posted it the other day. I was like, any danger?
It's the only thing that I need to go onto the stupid website to check.
I know, it sucks. And I should have the website just saved as a shortcut on my phone, but I don't.
No, I type in AFL and it automatically brings up
It's only
AFL tables.
It's only 3 letters.
Yeah, but it automatically brings up
Oh,
AFL
AFL
tables
tables?
or AFL fantasy.
I often go to Wheelo for it, but Wheelo's usually not updated for a few hours, so if I'm trying to check it immediately after the game, it's not there.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He was 8th highest rated. I wouldn't even have him that high.
Bond had a 16 quarter
Yeah.
in the second quarter?
Which is higher
most
than Bailey
players'
Smith had for the
games.
whole game.
Yeah.
So
I thought Atkins was fantastic again. He didn't feature anywhere near as highly in the coaches' votes as I thought he would.
Ollie Henry with another sub-1 rating points.
Yeah,
game.
wasn't great. He did one good thing. I think the problem is that Danger's down there, and it's very hard for him to do his role when Danger's literally stealing all of his marks. Like he is a one-trick pony.
Yep.
It's a very good trick, but he's a one-trick pony.
He mark or he get it loose over back and kick goal.
Take high mark and kick goal, or pick up crumb and kick goal. And when Danger's doing both of those things, he can't do them. So I don't know. Like they play him because he's one of their best 23 players, but when someone else is playing his role, it's very hard to balance it. So I don't know what
I don't think
do
he
there.
has a string to his bow unless
No.
he wants to play defensive forward every week, which you don't want.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. It's weird. Like it's a guy who's kicked 40 goals 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
And then you just make
Now
him
he's kicked
irrelevant.
2 goals this year or something?
Yeah.
Maybe probably more than
I think
that.
he's kicked 5, but either way.
Well down on form.
He's just going to have to fill his boots when they have a big win one day. And he couldn't fill his boots against Freo, so who knows. I've run out of footy content.
I don't have any footy content. I said this was going to be a big one. I guess we could talk about Noel Bolter. How funny it is, the fact that he's going to miss 4 games because of his curfew. Is he allowed to leave the state?
No. So he can't play interstate games.
It's a good thing he plays for
And
Richmond.
He can't play games. Well, they've got 2 travels in that time, which is unlikely for them. And he can't play in any games that would see him getting home after 10 p.m.
Did you see that crazy fans on Twitter are offering up their home for
Yeah,
him
which
to
one?
sleep in?
That's not
Gross.
how it works. I was saying he's going to have to change his permanent residency to like the Crown Towers, so he's like really close to the MCG and
I think
Docklands.
that's illegal too.
He would have to get it court
Yeah.
signed.
I really enjoyed the official, the judge, the court person, whoever said that they can't change it because this is meant to be a
that's
punishment.
The punishment. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's going to be very funny. Is it just going to say omitted on the team sheet? Is it going to
I hope it
say
says curfew. I hope
curfew?
it's like managed.
Court ordered.
They'd probably use managed.
Court ordered.
But I did find it really funny. I thought that's real excellent trolling for the judge.
It's really bad for your team structure too, having to change that every
like
second or third week.
Absolutely.
You can't get settled in, and I mean he was decent on the weekend. I was never giving him votes
No.
because he punched a guy in the head. But
And
is that bias? Who cares?
Slostone and Broad are
Fuck
probably
you.
both.
If you listen to this
better in the
podcast
same
and you don't
background.
think punching someone in the head's a bad thing, you're a
Yeah,
dickhead.
and like the AFL's like, concussion is very bad. However, if you definitely concuss a guy, if you like go back and make sure he's concussed, just a few weeks.
I just feel like if Noel Bolter had done that on the field, he had gone back and punched a guy 6 times in the head, he would be suspended for 100 games, like we said 2 weeks ago.
And like often my thing is like, it's more forgivable on the field because you're playing a contact sport.
I don't think it's forgivable to punch someone 6
Well,
times
no,
ahead.
but I mean like it's not forgivable. But I mean like it's a worse offence off the field.
Yeah, I agree with that,
Because,
obviously. I still think it should be taken seriously.
In
on the
everyday
field.
society, I can't run at a person from 80 metres away and tackle them to the ground.
I've seen you do it.
Yeah, I'm not meant to.
You ripped your pants open.
I did. I did do that. I had to catch the train all the way back to Mandurah with a massive hole in the crotch of my pants.
For reference, at the time, Jack was wearing nothing but the skinniest of skinny jeans. So when that fella ripped,
This was,
you could everything.
this was 2011. That was the vibe at the time. I love seeing like on like Brownlow night when they do all the retirements, they show like draft photos of players from like that era, and they've all got like
the Dustin Martin emo hairs,
like
some of the
pasted down
best.
emo hair. It's so good.
It's a shame that we don't see as much of that anymore.
I'm Ben Dixon. Credit to him. I was looking at him the other day. He's had the same haircut for like 20 years.
Hey, once you find something that works, don't fix it, I guess.
I mean, you and I have the same mantra of get haircut when it's annoying, so we can't really...
Yeah, I'm teetering on the edge.
We're not a maintenance haircut household.
No.
Jesus, it's long now.
Yeah, I'm in struggle city right now with my hair and beard, so I'm going to sort myself out, but winter's coming, so I also don't want to.
Yeah.
Something nice about having longer hair during the winter and a big-ass fucking beard.
Great big bushy beard.
Great big bushy
beard.
What else happened in football? We should really write things down. It's like
I
someone
normally
printed
do.
off me sheets to fill out during the week,
I know,
but
it's almost like I've got sheets that I meant to print off. But I didn't.
no, I got nothing.
St Kilda losing again.
Yeah,
Had a nice little run of 3 games.
I feel like they got fucked over by Jordan Lewis calling them a destination club, because as soon as he did that, they completely flipped and got fucked over.
It's also like Kane Corn's coming out and now like trying to like get receipts on St Kilda people. It's like it's also too early to act the other way.
He's
like,
so spiteful.
Yeah, for a guy who's professionally paid.
Yeah, by 18 different organisations.
These are like random, mostly jobless people on Twitter yell at because like you there's a certain way of posting that it's like this person doesn't have a job.
Yeah,
like
anyone with a
like,
prime Twitter account.
Well, I mean, my hunch is that that's like 5 people with those hundreds of accounts.
Probably.
But like,
I have 2 Twitter accounts, and I will refuse to log into the other one because it's too much effort.
Yeah, I've got one that I do like if I'm actually sending an article to a organizer, and then I've got my personal one. But like, there's a certain level of person who tags media personalities just to be like, you're mean to my team. But like, for then that person to go back at those people and be like, remember when you said I was mean to your team? Well, you're bad now. And it's like, all right, man. But also, like, they've lost 2 games. I feel like we maybe should wait a little bit longer for them to lose more games. Like, they're in a bunch of, like, 8 to 10 teams who are all struggling.
I like to imagine that Kane Corn's bookmarks on Twitter is just tweets from fans.
It has to be.
It has to be.
There's no other...
But he's 100% going to come for Luke Hodge.
Oh, yeah.
Even though Luke Hodge said, let's give Clarko a year and a half to determine where this team's at. He's going to come at him this week or next week and say,
every time
I was clearly right.
Every time North lose, he's going to come at him. But, like, he's not backing down. He hasn't admitted he was wrong about Uze. He never admits he's wrong. He loves going back at people.
I know that, well, I mean, I was thinking it the other day. I was like, now that Connor Rozee is going to be a lifetime halfback, how does that fare into his
versus Walsh
Walsh competition?
What if we put Walsh to halfback?
I don't want that.
I don't want to watch him kicking like that.
No, thank you.
Do you reckon his kicking get better? Because surely he's not kicking over his shoulder off halfback.
Yeah, his kicking was better on the weekend, but again, there was less pressure.
It was like I said, I brought up the handball receives stat. Like when he's getting way more handball receives, he's obviously going to look like a better footballer because that's his best style. I still think that the biggest loss for Carlton this year has been Newman. I think that is a near unreplaceable part of that team. The way he runs, tackles, and kicks is enormous.
And it's also fun watching him being a little dead shit.
Yeah, everyone needs one dickhead.
Yeah.
At least one.
At least one.
Yeah. Hawthorn's got about 7. And that's their vibe. That's fine. My thing on that Hawthorn game was like, if an umpire's made a bad decision, chasing the umpire down the ground to yell at him about how bad his decision was is never going to help you get better decisions later.
Oh, yeah,
and both Scrimshaw and Amon did that. And it's like, how do you think that's going to help you at any point later in the game?
Yeah, but what are you supposed to do? Turn around and say, thanks for the shit decision. You get a 50 paid against you if you said that.
There was a rule for dissent once upon a time.
Hey, you got paid the other day
against Zorko. But that was Zorko who did it twice. Zorko went back to the umpire to tell him it was shit. And then abused his coach. And then his captain. And poor Omak was just sitting on the bench with his water bottle because the bench is too small with his knees like right up to his chin, trying to ignore the fact that everyone was yelling at each other around him.
Weird vibes in that.
Yeah, it was very strange. And they won that game, so didn't win the next one.
Jack Higgins is equal second in the Coleman. That's
very odd.
That's strange, but it does back up my point from earlier in the year where one of our friends called Jack Higgins dog shit, and I said Jack Higgins is actually really good.
Now he's reverted to calling him a dickhead, and that part is true. He is a dickhead. But yeah, it's a weird one now. Like we both picked, I think, Cameron for the Coleman preseason.
Jeremy,
but he's playing way too much.
What the fuck is he doing? It's fine when it works out, but when it doesn't, it looks fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Do we have to, like, I know he kicked none on the weekend.
But, like, with Darcy going down, King's not coming back. It's a weird race for the Coleman.
I don't
Fogarty
think...
as well, like...
Well, I mean, I want to say it's unlikely to be one of Fogarty and Phil for...
Because they'll steal goals.
But, in saying that, Kerner kicked 90 one year and...
And Cameron Hawkins have both kicked 60 and 70 with each other on the team.
Like, 60 odd?
It's definitely doable. Well. Especially when you're scoring the way Adelaide are. Like, they're not on the weekend because it was...
I want to say the most likely from the list so far is Nick Larkey.
Yeah, that's true, because he's the target.
Because he's the target, but also he hasn't had that benefit of playing shit teams because he is in the shit team. Ben King has had a ride these past 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And the fact that he didn't kick one when they were up against it
That's true.
is worrying. If I was picking now, I'd probably still pick Ben King, but Nick Larkey's a shout. I don't know if Tracy can go the full way. He's had a great season so far, but...
I do have one friend who put $10 on Dangerfield at the start of the year who's just like, I mean, he's only a few goals off.
He's only a few goals off.
But, like, I think...
I mean, Paul Curtis has 15 goals sitting right now, which is awesome.
Carlton, Collingwood and Gina West in the next few weeks. I don't know if you can have the luxury of Dangerfield sitting at full forward.
Dangerfield's going to be playing on Mitch McGovern. Geelong are salivating that. They're rubbing their little hands together.
Matchup.
Who's going to play on him?
That's true.
Cowan isn't there.
Not strong enough either.
Newman's not there.
Yeah, Newman would have been the matchup, right?
But it's going to be McGovern. There's no one else who can do it, and that's going to be the difference in the game.
It's probably a better matchup.
If Cameron's roaming again, sure.
And
doesn't have the pace.
Collingwood, who plays on him? Quaynor?
I think Collingwood can get it sorted.
But I just think that Geelong...
I think even Jeremy Howe could play on him.
Like, what I think is that, sure, he'll be able to kick goals on those defenders. I just think that Geelong might need him in the midfield against both of those sides.
Also, low-key, how crazy is it that Jack Gunston is still good?
Well, he did kick 4 out in the full on the weekend.
Sure, but he kicked 5 the week before and was really clutch in a big game. But, like...
He kicked 5 before...
If you told me 4 years ago...
He kicked 5 second-half goals and they're down by 90 points.
If you told me 4 years ago that Jack Gunston would be still going
and kicking goals
in Easter Mondays, whatever, I would not have believed you.
Yeah.
And he's... I mean, it's only a couple of rounds in, like round 6 or whatever, but he is 5 goals off the top of the leaderboard.
That is the beauty of the sub rule now, right? Is that they can nurse him through the year.
Yeah.
He and Bruce. Like, they can really just play them half a game when they need to and then give them a week off. And like when it's on, those two are a massive part of why that forward line works. Yeah.
The other one, I mean, we didn't mention him. Well, we kind of did, but Charlie Curnow's only a few good games away off being off.
And like he's obviously capable of kicking 9 or 10. Like he's one of those players who, in modern football, 10 is such a massive... 8 is a massive tally.
Yeah.
And he's a guy who can kick 8 multiple times in a season. Like most goal kickers now who win the Coleman do it from just like consistent bags of 5 and 6. Curnow is one of the very few with the skill set to just pile them on.
It's always interesting when it just falls.
And he's already played
him.
Collingwood.
Yeah.
And like some of the teams he usually struggles against. He's kicked 6 and 7 against Geelong in the past few outings.
He didn't really cash in against West Coast, but they do have West Coast and North again later in the year, so there's a chance that can turn around. But I'm picking Larky. Fuck it.
Larky? Alright.
Who do we pick for the premiers? I don't fucking know.
We went...
Did we just say Brisbane again?
Melbourne.
Melbourne can do it.
Oh, look at them go on the weekend.
And I feel like I haven't had a chance to talk about this on the podcast.
Yeah.
The reason I picked Melbourne for first on the ladder and the premiership is because I just didn't want to say Geelong.
Yeah.
I really didn't want to.
I hate that it looks like Collingwood at the moment.
And I said, when I was doing my list of things for the reason every team couldn't do it in that round 0 or pre-podcast or whatever, I said too many scandals at Geelong, which is true, but it hasn't affected them. No. So who cares?
Look, it looks like Collingwood currently. They're clearly the best team form-wise.
Do you win premierships in...
No, absolutely not.
In April?
And
One of my friends posted on their Instagram, good old Collingwood forever, another flag in the bag, and I'm like, what are you...
Yeah, like in the last however many years, the team that's looked the best at this time of the year has not won it.
Brisbane were
dog shit at this time last year.
Woeful.
They'd lost home games to Geelong, Carlton, and Collingwood this time last year.
Which is where Sydney is sitting right now.
Yeah. And last year Sydney looked like they had the comp by the scruff of the neck.
Oh, they were dominating.
Yeah, and then it was either at the start of last year it was, to be fair, they did all make the prelims, but at the start of last year it was Geelong, Sydney, and GWS, all on 7-1, I think, at the start of last year. Geelong and GWS really slid after that and came back up, but Sydney stayed there. But then 2022, Melbourne started 10-1.
They did. They were 10-0.
Yeah. 2023, I think it was just Collingwood all year. I think we just had a Collingwood all year, 2023.
Yeah.
But most years, the July, the June team even isn't it.
Yeah.
So I'm hesitant to write off the teams that we thought were good before the season started.
2022 Geelong.
I still think Brisbane's tweaking things and fixing things, and there's so many players that are new to that team I'm still big on Brisbane, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
GWS
not,
have just pulled out a bunch of kids again, as they do every year.
I can't write off Geelong. So if I'm taking away my joke answer, that's the real one for me.
Yeah. I mean, they're so well drilled. I think that's the main thing.
It's just Chris Scott.
It's Chris Scott.
If you took any other coach from the AFL and put them in that team, they're not making finals.
Yeah. He manages
Not
it
with that midfield.
extraordinarily well. On the weekend it was like Atkins, Nevitt, and like one of Smith or Holmes.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be enough to get it done the way it did.
No.
The luxury of playing Dangerfield at full forward when you've got a midfield that
Yeah.
is below par. Like,
And to be
credit to those
to be-
footballers.
in the third quarter, they looked like they needed him in there.
Oh, yeah. I was really thinking they were going to pull that trigger. Speaking of pulling the trigger, that cricket's obviously...
There's such an annoying cricket, and I know we're getting so close to the season where they will stop being here, but I've tried everything I can to quell his cricket
It's all right,
noises.
I mowed the lawn. I watered the lawn the other day, and a massive spider came out of the grass, and I went, "Don't come inside."
I prefer spiders to crickets because they're silent.
Spiders eat crickets. That's the big win. And Greg eats spiders. Not the legs though.
No, it's really gross.
If you ever come to our house, it's just spider legs and cockroach legs on the floor because they're the part that tastes bad.
Fake our house sound disgusting.
Yeah, not like everywhere. Just like you'll come home from work and they'll be there.
Yeah.
Not,
it's
come to our house, there's spider legs and cockroach legs. Anyway, that's a good enough place to end it.
sorry about the crickets.
Yeah, we'll be
It's
back in
cricket season.
a more regular format next week. There won't have been a game on Monday, so I've had a whole day to think about things to talk about. We'll only have one round of votes.
Yeah, but there is a stupid Thursday night.
And
Melbourne Richmond. Who fucking scheduled that for a
if
Thursday?
Geelong Carlton goes bad enough, maybe we'll have killed each other. So it's,
No, we've done.
No,
we've
Melbourne
done,
get Anzac Day Eve now.
We've done pretty well
Yeah, no, we were like
over the years
there
with
was
the
two games
Carlton
last year that both were reasonably intense for all of and then 3/4 of.
The worst one we weren't together for, which was the Eddie Betts moment where Carlton won in Geelong. That might have been tense, but I feel like we're fine.
Yeah.
I just don't say anything inflammatory. Yeah. But Bailey Smith will be playing, so maybe I will say something inflammatory.
That's fine though, because you know I don't care about because I think he's a dickhead.
Truly.
I often say inflammatory things about him. And Sean Manor.
10 coaches
10
vote.
coaches votes. Just all is forgiven. Anyway, thanks for listening. You can find us at the Back Pocket AU everywhere.
Send us money.
We will see you next week. Yeah, buy a shirt. Bye.